faint rattle of a sneaky snake, yeah.
All right, first step is getting this negative battery cable off because we're going to be disconnecting the starter at some point. So that's the first step. After the battery cable, the next thing we're going to do is get the shifter out. So we're just going to get the knob off of here. And then this plastic piece of trim, it just pops out. You can just pull at it. It's only held by clips, so that's all you got to do. And go slow, because behind that cigarette lighter is going to be an electrical connection, so careful you don't rip that out. And then you're going to work this boot up over the threads, slowly but surely. So up and over, ease this out, and get that electrical connector off. There you go. So there's your little bezel there. So next step is getting this boot off. Okay, these are 8mm, and there's going to be 4 of them. So we'll just work these out. All right, now that we've got all 4 of these bolts out, we're just going to take this boot out of here. All right, boot is out of here. And next thing, we're going to take these 4 bolts out, and then we'll get the entire shifter out. There we go. Yeah, that's what we're left with. It's like some RTV. About to drain the transmission fluid. Can't see from where I'm sitting, but that's where we are, and about to crack this loose. Last video I watched, the guy says that it just shot right over the exhaust pipe, right in his face. So yeah, that should be fun. Now, given what I know, why am I not using some kind of deflector? Because I just like to do things the hard way, I guess. About to drop this phone real quick. Well, that could have been worse. Now look at these bolts I'm gonna have to deal with taking this exhaust off. Oh, dude, that sucks. Probably just have to hack them off. All right, so as part of this removal process of the clutch, we're gonna have to get the exhaust off. This H pipe is where we're gonna have to get it loose, and we're gonna need probably a lot of this. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if we just have to hack these bolts off, which is actually fine because I plan to replace this anyway. Oh, that's close. That's real close. Getting the starter out so we can get the upper bolts towards the manifold on the passenger side. This is a 13mm. So took a big impact wrench and went to town on them. Got those things off. See, kids, dreams do come true. All right, next hurdle. The exhaust is completely free, so to speak. All my fasteners are off. Still dealing with rust that's keeping everything together. You know, in a perfect world, this whole downpipe system, the H pipe, all that stuff would just drop right out. But yeah, right where it couples to the exhaust manifold on both sides, it's rusted pretty solid, so probably have to do some prying or something. We'll see. Sweet. Well, got the exhaust free, and the only thing holding it on is the rubber hangers back there, so I'll go back there and pry them out, and that's it. Now that the exhaust is off, it's time to take the drive shaft off. You'll have 4 bolts on the flange, 1, 2, and then you'll release the emergency brake and you'll spin the drive shaft to get the other 2. And these are 12-point sockets, so make sure you're using those instead of 6-point. One other note, you want to mark the flange of the drive shaft. So I took a screwdriver and I just scratched a little mark right there so I knew where I took it apart. So you'll want to put it back together in the same spot. And out she comes. So just got it pulled off of the flange here. I'm taking note that some of these bolts were pretty wet. So there may be a pinion seal issue that needs to get dealt with. All right, and we're just gonna slide this right out. And there may be some residual transmission fluid, so you better have drained it, or it's gonna come pouring out. There she goes. All right, so we got the drive shaft out. Next thing is getting the starter out, and then we can start getting at those bolts on the tranny bell housing. Now that we have the exhaust out of the way, these bolts on the back side of the starter are a lot easier to get to. So I already took one off right here. That's the easy one to get to because it's right there. There are 2 more that are on the back side. I'm touching it with my fingertip right there. It's on the back side, and there's one even higher up that you can get with a long extension from the front if you send it through the K-member, or you can get it from the top. Just trying to get this middle bolt off on the starter. So like I said, there's the small one on the front, and then there are 2 on the back side. There's one up top that I still have to get, but this one, my God. It seems so simple, but you can't fit a ratchet or a wrench in here, at least not any of the ones that I have in my supply. So I've got a bunch of extensions stacked up going through this part of the K-member. It's going all the way through the front. It's so stupid. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, dude, good luck getting that back. All right, next thing we're gonna do is disconnect the clutch cable from the fork. So you're gonna stick a pry bar or something else in here where you can get some leverage, and you're just gonna, sorry, it's hard to do this one-handed, but you're just gonna put a little bit of pressure against that fork to push it forward, and then you'll pull the spring up and through. All right. So just what I was saying again, that's how it goes. And then you would push this forward and then set this down in this notch, and then it'll sit in there. But that's it. So from there, you're just going to pull this retaining clip out, and then you can pull the cable through the rest of the way. All right, so with that clip out, this cable will pull straight through, and then that's it. Here's something else I noticed while I was taking the starter out. This bolt for the bell housing is missing. And it's obviously been missing a long time because the color, you know, the corrosion and oxidation, whatever, on this aluminum is consistent with all the other stuff. So I don't know how long that's been gone. All right, and now I'm trying to get that last hard to reach bolt on the starter so we can finally get it out of here, but of course it has to be difficult. There you go. Kind of sort of towards the middle of the screen. It's not focusing, sorry. But yeah, that goldish color one, the bronze, that's the last one you got to get to. And for reference, I'm sitting in the wheel well of the passenger side so I can get a look at it. But yeah, that's going to be a pain in the ass. Okay, I'm going to be utilizing the approved Chris Fix method. He's got an SN95 like this one in his videos. What he did was run a 1/4 inch ratchet with a long extension and a 13mm socket behind and over the top of this, and there's just enough room to do it. So I'll see if I can pull this off. Alright friends, I'm here to tell you, I don't think you've experienced victory until you've tried getting one of these stupid starter bolts off. But we got it. It's out. Finally got that stupid starter out. So, yeah. The horror stories that you'll hear about being able to reach these bolts back here, they are absolutely true. It's a nightmare, but it's out. So, well, that's halfway done, I guess. Then we get to put it back in later. That should be fun. All right, so we're trying out the $100 Harbor Freight Special transmission check. I don't really plan on using this thing too much. It'll just be for this one car, so not a long-term thing, but I don't know. I think it should be all right. All right, now that I'm flush up to the transmission, next step is throwing this ratchet strap over the top and then cinching it down so it won't roll off when we lower it out. All right, we have the transmission supported, so on to getting the cross member off, and then we'll be ready to unbolt the bell housing. All right, so like I was saying, you've got these three 13mm bolts. You got one here, and one here. Those are the easily accessible ones. That would also include the ones that bolt the dust shield onto the back of the bell housing. But
I feel so weird.
These are the last ones you're going to easily be able to get to. The rest are up top, and what I've seen on the Chris Fix videos is you can either take a really long ratcheting wrench from the top, and I don't know if that works for the Cobras. He had it on a GT, so I think there might be a little more room on his end. Otherwise, what you have to do is run a really long extension that kind of runs parallel and up to the top with a universal joint to get to it, and that'll be everything. It's 9 bolts total. All right, so here's a scary moment. Getting these last two bolts at the top of the transmission bell housing. I got an impact hooked up to it, and I got it out and pulling it out with the magnet. And it worked out. I was scared for a minute though. that high up and you're on an angle, you're afraid you're gonna strip them out, but heck yeah, we got it. All right, one more of those. Well, I only have one more of these top bolts. And I cannot see it from where I'm sitting. It's not that one though, it's up higher. And I think I might have to get this wiring harness out of the way for me to see it. Because it's right in the way of my line of sight. So I guess we gotta pry that loose. Dang it. All right, victory has been achieved. Got that last bolt out on the top of the bell housing. That sucked trying to get. But got the trusty, what do we got? 30-inch, half-inch extension with a wobble socket at the end. And this bad boy, the Ingersoll Rand 3/4 inch impact. Yeah, we got her done. So all I'm doing right now is leveling this back up. I had to drop it a little bit so I could get that extension through there. It was just barely too narrow for me to fit everything through there. So I dropped it down a little bit and finally reached it. So I'm just leveling this back out so that I can pull it straight out away from the engine. And then we should be able to pop her loose. You just got to believe in yourself, baby. And out comes this transmission. I'll be back when I get it all the way down. All right. So, as I suspected, this throwout bearing is toast. Oh. Bunch of play on it, yeah. Garbage. So, yep, good thing we're changing all that crap out. Don't know how anything else looks yet, because I'm gonna have to rearrange this, either figure out a way to get the car higher, or take this bell housing off. That's not a huge deal, I guess, if I have to do that. But yeah, I can't as is. I'm still not clear of getting this thing out from under the car, so we'll figure something out.
Well, hello there, you handsome sumbitch.
All right, so we're under the car here. Anybody that's curious what I've been doing, this is what we're replacing. I have a new lightweight aluminum flywheel that's gonna replace this heavy cast iron one. This one is 22 pounds and the one I'm replacing with is 12 pounds. We'll be replacing the pressure plate and the clutch disc underneath. All that's getting replaced. All right, back at it again. Taking out the clutch and the pressure plate today. Probably won't mess with the flywheel yet, but we'll see. So just spraying down with water the clutch components so we're not breathing in clutch dust. And I'll just be using hand tools, no air, so I'm not kicking up any of that clutch dust. I don't want to breathe that. Well, I would expect this to spin, in which case I'm gonna be wedging a block of wood against the pressure plate and over this transmission tunnel to keep it from spinning. Trying to get this flywheel off today. That's what I like. That pisses me off. Am I at 4? Hoping I can get these off by hand as is. I'll have to check the manual or the forums and see what some of the guys out there are doing, or gals. I'll have to check online or factory manual. I don't know if you're supposed to reuse these factory flywheel bolts or if you're supposed to buy new ones. I suppose some new ARPs wouldn't hurt anybody. So I'm an idiot, and a lot of times I don't follow proper safety precautions like I should. And they say it's a good idea to have a buddy help you, and I don't doubt that, but I don't have anybody here with me. So I guess this thing is 22 pounds. So sounds like it's really gonna let go, and you better be prepared for it. I can't tell. Rear facing. Well, there's the starter, so you shouldn't be, only go on one way. I don't know if I'm missing something. Very gently prying. Okay. See if that's enough to do it. No, I don't think so. There. Whoop. All right, that wasn't so bad. Okay, kids. Okay, so here's where we're at. We got the clutch disc and the pressure plate out. And then we got the dust shield and the factory flywheel out. So, with that stuff out, next thing I'm gonna be doing is replacing the rear main seal. This one looks okay, and I haven't seen any leaking. This thing leaks nothing when it sits, so I think it's good, but it's a good rule of thumb if you're this deep into the engine or the transmission. Why not? It's cheap, and you don't have to go back in there again if it fails, so I'm just going to be replacing that. And this in the middle, this is the pilot bearing. That's going to get replaced as well. I have a new McLeod street clutch kit that comes with the new pilot bearing, as well as the throwout bearing that I showed before. That's junk. Probably going to be replacing the clutch fork as well, but I have not ordered that yet. But that's where we are now. So one of the ways to get these pilot bearings out, you know, there's the professional way, as it were, where it just involves a bearing puller, where it's, you know, some prongs that go inside and then they hook back. So they get around the back side of it, and then you use a puller to pull it straight out. But a lot of people know about the cheap way to do it, where you just jam a ton of grease. You take a grease gun and just pump this opening full of grease and stuff little wads of bread in there. And you take an extension, anything that you can pound through that'll fit through there, and you pound it, and the hydraulic force from the back side of it forces it out, and it doesn't cost you anything. This is probably gonna make a hell of a mess. So, quick question. I don't know if you can tell with this throwout bearing, it's spinning kind of off center. If you watch this edge up against the inside part on the black area, you can kind of see. I don't think that I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be like that. This is the bearing that came with my McLeod kit. Plus, it looks like it got marred up right there during shipping. But yeah, I don't know. This is my first time doing this, so I have no idea how it's supposed to look like, but I wouldn't think that it's supposed to be spinning slightly off center like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. All right, now I have more questions for you. This is the pilot bearing that came with the McLeod kit, and you can see there's no, like needle bearings on the inside like there is on the factory one. I don't know if this is just a different style, but it works or not. Like I said with my other video with the throwout bearing, this is the first time I've done this, so I have no idea if the pilot bearings might look different depending on what clutch kit you go with, but yeah, you can tell that. And then just holding it up, it's hard to do this one-handed, but I can tell that this bearing is slightly smaller in diameter than the factory one. So I don't know if any of you guys have dealt with this McLeod kit or not, but now I'm just kind of dead in the water because I don't know if this is correct. Doesn't seem like it would be correct, you know, so interesting. All right, I'm going to pound this pilot bearing in using a 27 millimeter impact socket. That seems to be the perfect diameter to pound this thing in. Not bad. And I realized as I was doing this that I forgot to freeze it. But it's going in pretty easy. Watch the thumb. All right, so I'm gonna be cleaning up this mating surface right here. This is where the separator plate goes, and then the bell housing for the transmission will connect to the back of the engine. All right, gonna be putting the separator plate back up, and it'll only go on one way. It's pretty obvious which side. This will be the side with the starter. You got this locating dowel right here. Here's one tip I would give, though it kind of goes without saying. I utilize the trick, you know, where you're trying to get the flywheel off and, you know, it just spins if you don't have something holding it. So I did the thing where you stick a transmission bolt in here, and then using like a dowel pin or a flex plate bolt or something, you put a wrench up there so it won't spin. And then what I did was I thought I had the bolt a little ways in here, but not enough apparently. As soon as I cranked it, the bolt shot out and I ended up damaging the threads in here, and I had to get a thread repair kit. It's fine now, but yeah, I would just say definitely be careful. Make sure you got plenty of threads in there before you start cranking on it. All right, instead of using the factory flywheel bolts, I bought a new set of Ford Performance, and it calls for just a dab of grease under the bolt head so it doesn't throw off your torque spec when you're torquing it down to the flywheel. And once that's done, we're going to put some blue thread locker on here before we button it up. Bolts are greased up, and we're going to put some medium strength thread locker on here. All right, last thing I'm going to do before this flywheel goes in the car, I got to spray this down. You can see all that crap on there. I assume that's like the Cosmoline kind of stuff like they use on brake rotors while it's in storage so it doesn't corrode or rust up. So we're going to clean that off, and then it'll be ready to go. Last thing to do is put your locating dowel pins on the flywheel. When you're ordering an aftermarket one, you probably want to double check with the distributor, whoever, that they will come with these. Some of them don't, and you'll have to order them. In this case, this McLeod one did come with these, so I'll be using these that came with the kit. All right, we have this mocked up hand tight. Now we're gonna do a star pattern at 64 pounds.
64 pounds? Not even a lot.
All right, first one, torque down 64 foot-pounds. Almost.
Oh, did you hear that? I shifted Lane's gear.
Torque down 1472, 58, 36. Those are the numbers to remember. So you're gonna go 1, 4, 7, 2. Four, 6, 7, 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6. Two.
Hey!
58, 36. $50. 58. 30. 5, 6. Should be it. 7, 2, 50, 8, 30, 6. Torque down. All right, with the flywheel installed, next step is going to be cleaning off this mating surface on the pressure plate. This is the same as the brake rotors and whatnot. Gets covered in cosmoline grease while it's in storage to keep it from rusting and corroding. So we're going to clean all that off before we bolt it up. The surface is clean. Next thing we're going to do is put the clutch disc, and I'm grabbing the edges, not touching the actual friction surface, and the raised side, which is this side, goes into the concave part of the flywheel, the pressure plate, and you're going to set that on there, and then you'll be taking the alignment tool. This will be flipped backwards. This is the side that actually faces the engine, and then on the other side we're going to put the alignment tool through, and that's how we'll get everything lined up. Alright, start getting these on by hand. Alright, next thing we're going to do is pull this clutch fork off. I guess you just pull it straight down. I don't know if you're supposed to pop off this and pull it down. accurate this torque wrench is going to be. Starts at 30. It's supposed to be 24. And we'll give that a shot. Okay, sorry, I'm filming with my phone, so I couldn't do it one-handed. But you're just gonna kind of flex the clutch fork kind of forward and then pull it down, and it'll come off of the pivot stud right here. And we're replacing this, and that's pretty well worn down and grooved. So I do have a new Ford one that I'm putting back in there, so that'll get swapped out. One other thing you're gonna want to do when you're replacing your throwout bearing is note the way it sits on the clutch fork. So this collar should be above these little tangs here. Apparently that's a common problem where people will either install this backwards or they'll have the collar underneath those tangs, but yeah, those tangs should go underneath. All right, I just got the clutch and everything back in, so I'm gonna be putting just a light coat of grease on these input shaft splines here. Even that could be too much, but get in there with a swab and get it out. You don't want too much. You don't want that slinging all over the clutch, making it slip, but just a little bit here.